Brothers and sisters, friends and family, much love to all of you guys out there. Huge hugs. Much love. Thank you all for joining me around my little table here that we have out in the middle of these jungles as we read through some of the amazing Apocrypha books that are out there. And today we're reading in the book of Enoch. And you don't need to get caught up on this because I will get you guys caught up as we roll through the book of Enoch. But we're at the end of the week. We are on a Friday on this Gregorian calendar, and tomorrow is the seventh day. And the seventh day is a day that's blessed. And there's no other days of the week that we have heard that are blessed by our Creator. And for those that are joining in that are in a religious-based system, that you've changed the seventh day to a first day, there's no place in scriptures anywhere that ever says that we should have ever changed the day of Sabbath. And there's rules and regulations when you keep the Sabbath. And the rules and regulations are all found in the first 5 books of scriptures: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And it is in those first 5 books that we learn exactly how our Creator has asked us to operate. Now, if you're joining me in this and you've come from a religious group or a religious system, then you have probably been heard things like the laws are dead, or the laws have been nailed to the cross, and we don't need to fall into them. You might have even been told things such as the laws are bondage, or there's something that is nobody can keep. Well, there's a group of individuals, and they are what you would call the remnant. They're the small group of people that pass through this little gate, and they are able to stay on this narrow road. And they have not fallen to the left and not fallen to the right, and they are on their way to a kingdom to come. Now, our Creator has picked us based upon us picking Him. How He picked us was before we were ever born. He looked into our souls. He looked into our bodies as He formed us. And He knows our names. He knows where we will be, what our jobs will be, what we are going to do in our lives. And then He tossed us into our mother's womb. He gave us a set of guidelines that have been rejected by, I would say, over 99% of the world. In these guidelines, we learn beautiful things that have been told are for us for all generations. They'll never expire. They'll never get old. And when you bring these instructions into your life, you become a part of the remnant. You go from not being grafted in to being grafted in. The only way that we're ever going to be grafted into the tribes of Yisrael is by obeying the laws, the statutes, and the commands of our Creator. And when you obey them, you become a new person. Your heart changes, your life changes, your family's ways, lives change. Everything around you changes because we start following a moral guideline compass. And this moral guideline compass is something that is so great, it is so intelligent, it is so wise, that we are bestowed with this wisdom in our lives as we become the covenant people. Now, if you've never read the first 5 books of scriptures at least 5 times, I would encourage everybody to bring yourself into a foundational basis to do this. Now, when you keep Torah, the things and the lies that society will tell you, the first thing is, oh, well, do you sacrifice animals? Do you think you're better than everybody else? Do you think you can't sin? And the answers to all of this is we're no better than anyone else, except we realize how far we fall because we know the Torah and we have made it a part of our lives. Now, as far as sacrificing animals, that's not needed. We don't have a Levitical priesthood anymore that the sacrifices were for. The sacrifices were an intermediary between us and our Creator, a way that our Creator would allow us to approach Him being sinless. Now, we have a priest, a high priest, a Melchizedek priest. His name is Messiah Yahushua. There's no J's in Hebrew, so the man's name wasn't Jesus. So we have a entity, a savior named Yahushua. Some say Yeshua. And our Savior is our priest. So no, we don't need sacrifices. We don't need a old school way. But the laws that have been rejected are extremely good. They're extremely valuable, and they will lead you and your family into greatness, into a way that is beautiful, that is pure, that gets us away from the darkness of this world. I don't know about you, but the world looks very, very dark. We live in a world of wars. We live in a world of Satanism. We live in a world of all of these people that are serving everything but the one thing that created them and has asked them to serve him in a way that he has asked us to serve him. And so, guys, when we reject the laws, we will be rejected by our Creator. We'll be rejected by our Savior. He will say, "Depart from me, you who work lawlessness." And these are fighting words to those who are coming out of religion, those who have been listening to things, the people that are telling you that are not in scriptures. All this stuff with all food being made cling and people eating pork, that's not in scriptures. That doesn't exist. In a good translation, you would never ever find such a bold-faced lie. And so when people are trying to trick you into paying them 10%, because that's what religion is. Religion is a business. It is something that people are getting filthy rich on. The pastors, the churches, and you look at all these really nice lawns in these churches, and everybody has parking spaces, and everything is really nice and organized, and it's beautiful because they have a lot of money. That is the hand of Satan that has allowed this to happen. It is his world that we are in, and it is his ability to fund things that are evil that will absolutely make religion thrive. And so if you guys are just coming out of religion, I would like to welcome you guys to the Torah walk, to a way that is prosperous to everything that you have. So much love to everybody who is a Torah keeper. According to scriptures, you guys are my family. And when Messiah Yahushua said, when he was asked about his mother and his brothers, he said, well, those who serve the Most High, those who are loyal to the laws, statutes, and commands, that's my family. And so that makes us all family, all of us that are keeping the laws of our Creator. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful laws. So guys, thank you very much for being a part of this. I am on day 4.5 right now of my fast. I felt like a Pharisee looks last night. And day 4 and day 5, I always struggle with. And it's something that I hope I am able to get through with some strength. I am trying to keep up the courage. And I don't know about all of you guys, but when you fast, there is a spiritual change, there is a physical change, and there is a life change. You don't come out of a fast without having some changes to your life. And so as last night, I was laying there, and I felt like I started getting some massive stomach cramps. And as you turn off your digestive system and as you start going into a state of ketosis, what you are doing is, instead of you using glucose into your calories, you start eating your own fat. And what it does is, inside a ketosis, you're trying to get to a thing they call atrophy. And atrophy is where it eats all of the old cells. So instead of all these crazy doctors that are always trying to give people stem cells and trying to inject them with all this kind of stuff, you can get your own stem cells by simply getting to a state of atrophy. Now, that state is it's a few days into this, right? It is probably past 5 or 6 days to where it will start killing off the dead cells and the broken cells in your brain, across your body, and it will regrow all this stuff. This is a natural process that our Creator has built into this fasting system that is a healing process. I've heard of people curing cancer by fasting. I've heard of people that are emotionally broken. And I can't thank my family out there enough that is invested in my fast. And this is why I like to bring this up. I'm not bragging about anything because I don't feel like there's anything to really brag about. I feel like I'm kind of beaten down today. And so I am doing the very best that I can to mentally put this down in a way that it makes sense. And hopefully it is articulated enough that you guys can't tell that I am on day 4.5. But as I get to around 5 or 6 tonight, I will be on to day 5. And last night I ended up with the shakes. It felt very much like an old alcoholic where you drink way too much and you're shaking in your sleep. Very uncomfortable. It is a very uncomfortable feeling, but it is something that is healing. And this is what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to heal my broken temple that I have broken by my own hands. So with that, guys, thank you very much for being a part of this. What you're looking at right before you is the Yah Scriptures. This is the greatest English translation that has ever been produced. It is a limited edition print. This is a 7-pound Bible. It's 14.5 font. It is a beautiful translation. It has 103 books. The apps for this are completely free. You can go to the Apple Store or you can go to the Google Store and just type in Yah Scriptures, 2 words, just like this right here. And it will give you the free app. And the free app is absolutely beautiful. It has the restored names of our beautiful Creator. It has a restored name of our beautiful Messiah. And this is the Paleo Hebrew. This is how it was originally written. The name God is a surtitle. It's something that has been taken out so that we didn't know the name of our Creator. But this is the correct reading of Yahweh. And so with that, guys, thank you very, very much. Now, let's get into, you can also go to yahscriptures.com. That's where you can get all the free versions of this. And we have a Bible ministry. And for every big blue book and every scriptures that is ordered, we are able to get these into the hands of brothers and sisters in the United States prison system. And that has been an enormous blessing. We can't thank those enough who have helped donate for stamps. Where I have my 3 boys, and they have taken over the PayPal, not PayPal, but PenPal. They've taken over the PenPal side of this ministry. And so there's 3 young men. And so if you can keep them in your prayers, that they are able to work through this. And a lot of people's lives are being changed by the direction of the instructions that we're giving, right? We contact everybody that we get as scriptures. We contact them. We send them a list of Torah commands. We send them a shout out and a greeting, and let them know they're loved, and let them know that there is something besides the dark world that they've encountered that they are in right now. And so, guys, we can't thank you guys enough for being a part of the Yah Scriptures prison ministry. Now let's get into the book of Enoch. And again, we are on chapter 10 today, but I'm going to give you a recap of everything so you don't have to go back through this. If you're just watching this, this will get you all caught up. Chapter 1 of the book of Enoch is about the coming judgment. It's a prophetic introduction to the book, and it declares that Elohim, the Most High, will come from his dwelling with his Kodesh ones to judge all flesh. It foretells destruction for the wicked and reward for the righteous. Enoch is presented as a messenger of judgment and righteousness. Chapters 2 through 5 talk about the testimony of creation. These chapters offer a wisdom reflection on nature's obedience to Elohim, how the sun obeys the Torah commands, how the moon and stars all obey the Torah commands. The luminaries, seasons, trees, and oceans follow their divine order, contrasting with humanity's disobedience. So humans are bad. Nature is good, right? We as human beings have fallen very, very short of what our Creator wants from his creation. Chapter 5 warns sinners and promises that the righteous will inherit peace and light. Now, chapter 6 is a lot of meat and potatoes because it's the sin of the Watchers, the fallen angels. It introduces the Watchers, 200 angels. They descended to Mount Kerman, led by Shemiatza. They lusted after human women, and they took them as wives. They bound themselves together by an oath to carry out this rebellion together. This union produces the Nephilim, giant, violent offspring. We have the Nephilim, and the Eliad. And every generation of these giant beasts got bigger and bigger and bigger until these things, chapter 7 says the Nephilim devour all of humanity's food, then turn to devouring humans and each other. The Watchers teach humans forbidden knowledge. And I had a really good discussion with some of you guys out there regarding some of this hidden knowledge that they taught us, right? Aziel teaches warfare, makeup, and metalworking. Others teach sorcery, astrology, enchantments. The earth is described as being utterly corrupted and crying out. Chapter 8 tells us the names and the deeds of the fallen angels, the details of specific angels and the sins that they brought. Aziel was the weapons and cosmetics. Simiaza, enchantments and root cutting. Amoros and Bachiel and others taught astrology, signs of the stars. The people begin worshiping these arts, leading to greater wickedness. The knowledge results in violence, bloodshed, and unrighteousness. And then chapter 9, we hear about the 4 archangels, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. And they witness the corruption that is going on. They appeal to Elohim Most High, to Yahuwah, lamenting the destruction caused by the Nephilim, the sins taught by Aziel and the Watchers, the suffering of humanity, and the defilement of creation. Elohim hears the cry of the righteous and the earth, setting the stage for divine judgment. Okay, so here we are, guys. We are getting into this beautiful book. This is the Yah Scriptures Google app. Again, free of charge. It's also free of charge on Android. You guys can get this. It takes no internet connection. It's absolutely free. It'll be free for life. We will never, ever charge anybody for this. And inside of this, one of the coolest things is you have Torah commands, right? Listed all the Torah commands that you and I can keep today, right? Look at these beautiful things. Do not eat the blood. Master sin. Guard Yahuwah's covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments. All of these beautiful, beautiful things, right? Teach our children the commands and guard the way of Yahuwah. Remember Yahuwah's name for all generations. Keep the Passover. These are the beautiful things that we have in this. And so let us get into this right here. This is the book of Enoch. And this is the same as the big blue book that you guys saw, that you guys, the limited edition print that you can still get. This is what you get in the big blue book, all of this. But again, you don't have to pay for anything. You can just come, grab the app. There's also PDFs if you'd like. There's also an eSword module. But the eSword folks are heavily Christianized, and so they don't allow a lot of the Apocrypha. And so there's only some stuff in it, all the 66, and then some Apocrypha books. But other than that, there's this is the place to get it. Okay, so here we are, right here, chapter 10, Enoch. And right, this was the last chapter. Led us. The 4 messengers, the 4 angels, were sitting there appealing to our Creator to, hey, look at this. There's something going on. There's something. What do we do? There's bloodshed. It's over. What do we do? So this is the response from our Creator to them. Then said the Most High, the Kodosh, the Holy and Great One, spoke and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech and said to him, go to Noach and tell him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end, what is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed. And a flood is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again, Yahuwah said to Raphael, bind Aziel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him in there. And place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire. And heal the earth, which the messengers have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secrets that the Watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Aziel. To him ascribe all sin. Now, unless you have the Apocrypha, then when you read the regular 66 books in the Old Testament, the first 5 books of Torah, they have an appointed time to where they were slaughtering a goat, and then they were sending the goat off to Azazel. And so all sin, because of the great evil that this one particular watcher did, and he had to be more evil, more cunning, more vile than all the rest, because this is the one that all sin has been ascribed to. And Yahuwah said to Gabriel, proceed against the half-breeds and the reprobates, and against the children of whoring, and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle, for they shall not have length of days. So important stuff to understand here, right? This is the power that our Creator wields, that the messengers are able to wield, that somehow you had there's like basically 4 different generations of giants. You had the Watchers, and then you had the Nephilim, and the Eliud, and each generation was bigger and bigger. Now, a lot of people think that Greek mythology was just a bunch of made-up stuff. But I truly believe that without a shadow of a doubt that the Greek mythology was probably very much true. That it was something that indeed this has happened, right? You have the giants fighting each other, and Hollywood has taken this and run with it, and people worship Zeus. They have the name of our Messiah as Jesus, and the joke's on us. But when you look at this, and somehow these messengers were able to change things so that these giants started fighting against each other and battling it out. 10. And no request that they make of you shall be granted unto their fathers, or on their behalf, for they expect to live an eternal life, and that each of them will have lived 500 years. So there we go. All of us, in this day and age, we know that our Creator has said we can live 120 years. That's the time that we have been given to figure out what this life is about, to figure out what this path is about, to figure out how to get back to our Creator. And getting back to our Creator involves 2 things: keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, and the faith of Messiah Yahushua. That is what it says in Revelation 14:12. So these guys were given 500 years. So all of a sudden, that's a decent amount of time, because they were having offspring, and there was just a huge generation of giants that were all around. And Yahuwah said to Michael, go, bind Shemiatza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and when they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valley of the earth, till the day of their judgment, and of their complete end, till the judgment that is forever and ever is ended. Okay, a lot of stuff that we should talk about, right? Part of the punishment is what no parent wants to see, which is the destruction of their children, right? And not only the destruction of their children, but it was in a violent fashion. It was in a fashion where it was the Hatfields and McCoys, as they say, where you have a civil war, and these guys ended up with a civil war, and it was the best of the best, and who could best whoever, but everybody died in the end. And so part of that destruction was that. Now, another thing that we should talk about is the 70 generations, because when you actually try to plug in the math on 70 generations, it's roughly time up, right? Somewhere in the 2000s was the 70 generations is up. And this is why, we could be very, very, very close to the end. We know there's 6,000 years that we have been given here, and all accounts are that it's very, very close. And so as we are looking to the future and looking for the end, we have to understand that darkness is going to reign. There will be a crescendo of darkness, of evil, of madness worldwide. And you're actually seeing it right now. You're seeing humans die off very, very soon. You're seeing wars, rumors of wars. You're seeing all of these people that are openly serving a different Elohim than we have, right? You have all of these different religions. There's 400,000 different religions. There's 40,000 different denominations of Christianity alone. and every single one of them have a doctrine that is opposing to the scriptures of our Creator. Now, that may not make sense to those who have never heard something like this before, but when you read in scriptures from the front of the book to the end of the book, there's no such thing about Sunday service. There's no such thing about Christmas and Easter. These are all what you would call pagan things, and they are all what we have been told to set ourselves apart for. We shouldn't be involved in any of this stuff. And so as we see the end coming, as we see the time completely ending, one of the amazing things is that we are in the end of the end, and you can see it with artificial intelligence. You can see that every single day is about 10 years ago in time. The AI has gone insane. The knowledge has expounded. There's nothing you can't figure out now, right? It may be censored here and there, but you can get around that using the AI. But there's nothing. And remember the days of the Dewey Decimal System? Remember the days where you had to go get the ladder and spin it around the library and go find out one single fact in a book? These days are over. Those days are over. It's a new world that we are in, to where knowledge is just continuing to expand. And it's as in the days of Noah. These are the days that we are in today. Continuing on, 13. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And whoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thereon be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wicked from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a baraka, a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forever. Now, there's something to consider here, because a lot of people don't believe in demons. But one of the things that we know from the Apocrypha is that these giants did not have souls given to them by our Creator. These things were freaks. They were anomalies, reprobates. They were the beasts. And when they died, they didn't have a place to go. And so you have all of these dead of the Nephilim, and Eliab that are haunting and cruising and destroying the world. And when you think that, man, this is demonic activity, there's some crazy demons going on, that's what we're seeing, right? You are seeing the spirits of the fallen that are thirsty, that are trying to get into bodies, that are trying to take over mankind, that are, literally, you look at all of the politicians and all of the governments worldwide, and you can't tell me there isn't demon influence included in all of this, right? It is literally a one world government that we are in right now, especially after the events of 2019, 2020, 2021. Every government was complicit with all of that madness that went down. And now look at the world we are in. And so when you look at all of these guys that died, and you look at the amount of demons that are out there, it's very, very scary. In another part of the Apocrypha, Noah, after the flood, saw all the demons and the demonic activity trying to take him and his family and his kids. And in his prayer, Yahuwah sent away 90% of them. But at this point, we could be talking many, many, many generations. We could be talking hundreds of thousands of these things inbreeding and breeding and bringing forth all sorts of demons. So even 90% being locked away could still be, the 10% could be a tremendous amount of darkness and unclean spirits that are always taking out people. And when you read the Besorah, the good news, the first few books of the New Testament, what they call the New Testament, it's very clear that our Messiah was always battling these demons, people that knew his apostles, people that knew him, and they have power. They're able to afflict people. They're able to get into them. Mary Magdalene had 7 different demons that were able to make her do all sorts of crazy stuff. Continue on, 17. And then shall all the righteous escape, and they shall live till they bring forth thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age they shall complete in peace. And then the whole earth shall be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of baraka, blessings. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant upon it shall yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown upon, each measure shall bear 1,000, and each measure of olives shall yield 10 presses of oil. And you, cleanse the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all wickedness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth, destroy from off the earth. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration, and shall praise me. And all shall worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again send upon it from generation to generation, and forever. Now, this is amazing stuff, right? Because this only lasted just a little bit, right? It lasted after the flood. Men started doing what men did again, and people started disobeying the Torah of our Creator. And when you disobey the Torah of our Creator, then you become prey to the ways of disobedience. You become a mark upon those who are able to be, destroyed. And so we didn't have this very long, right? We had the days of Noah, and we had all of his sons, and then everybody started fighting, right? So this only happened for just a little bit to where, the earth was cleansed. And man again did what they did and jacked it up. Chapter 11. And in those days I will open the store chambers of Barakah, which are in the Shamayim, which are in heaven, so as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of the children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the generations of men. Now, again, you can see that we are in a world right now that is not that, right? We're not living in a world of peace. We're not living in a world of righteousness. There's really no such thing when it comes down to this. 12. Before these matters, Enoch was hidden, and none of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the Kodeshim. And I, Enoch, Baruch, Yahuwah of majesty, I blessed, and he says, Enoch, I blessed Yahuwah of majesty, and the sovereign of the ages. And see, the watchers called me, Enoch, the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of the Shamayim, who have left the high Shamayim, the Kodesh eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. You have wrought great destruction on the earth, and you shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity, but compassion and peace shall you not attain. So this is judgment that is being passed, right? This is the thing about the book of Enoch, is it goes back and forth on certain things. Prior to this, we were hearing that, after the flood, there's going to be righteousness, and everybody's going to be praising Elohim, everybody's going to be Torah keepers. And then we come back to the immediate time in Enoch's life, where he's having to deal with these watchers. He's having to put judgment upon the watchers. And this is where Enoch is, he becomes a judge of the watchers. And, you'll see a little bit further that it was supposed to be the watchers that were supposed to keep watch over us and not fall into this kind of temptation. 13. And Enoch went and said, Aziel, you shall have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against you to put you in bonds, and you shall not have toleration nor request granted to you because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of wickedness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men. Now, again, this is where the book of Enoch goes back and forth, right? Because we had already heard earlier that the messengers had been given this order to bind Aziel, right? And to put him under rocks, and to make sure they're jagged rocks in a really uncomfortable place. And then right here, we're having this message given to Aziel. And so this is where these guys are starting to figure out what's going to happen to them. 3. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they pleaded with me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of Yahuwah of the Shamayim. For from thereon they could not speak, nor lift up their eyes to the Shamayim for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Okay, these guys could no longer even talk to Yahuwah. Where before these guys were the elite commanders of a messenger army, the ones that were picked for this job to do a good job, and they failed it. Now these guys have been cast out to where they can't even make a prayer that goes heard to our Creator. And this is the kind of rejection that when we as Yah's people reject his Torah, we will be rejected. We will be tossed into a place where we can no longer see the other side. We can no longer have this personal communication that we can have with our Elohim right now, right? That is one of the greatest things that all of us have right now is prayer. That we have a communication, that our prayers can get sent to our Creator, that we can hear what he has to say, that we can tell him what's on our mind, that we can discuss things with him, that we can plead for things, that we can tell him our thanks and our praise and our worship. Pretty soon, when the end is done, when we take that final breath, if we have not been found a good citizen of the kingdom to come, then we will no longer have that. And so continuing on, 7. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the southwest of Kerman. I read their petition till I fell asleep. And see, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of rebuke, and a voice came bidding to tell it to the sons of the Shamayim, and reprimand them. And when I awoke, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping, in Abetziel, which is between Lebanon and Sinesar, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the watchers of the Shamayim. Now, we don't know how big these watchers are. We don't know if they're the same size as humans. Maybe, maybe not. We just don't know. We do know from other books in the Apocrypha, especially the books of Adam and Kawa, is that the messengers can transform themselves in all sorts of stuff. So whatever this looked like, you had Noach that's sitting there that is just a little human being that is busting it out to these guys that are out there. Now, I don't want to go too far into this. We'll finish off into 14 here. The book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Kodesh one, great one in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with the tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the great one has given to men to converse with and to understand with heart. And he has created and given to man the power of understanding, the word of wisdom. So he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of the Shamayim. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you, even so will not be granted unto you. And from here on, you shall not ascend into the Shamayim unto all eternity. And in bonds of the earth, the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And previously, you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Again, this gives us a little bit of an understanding of how close we are to the end. I mean, it could literally be this generation. It could be tomorrow. It could be very, very soon. And Messiah is coming back. And he's coming back as a warrior, as a killer, as the one who is all powerful and going to own all these warmongering countries, all of these this government sided. It is a complete crazy world that we have, where we have this war-based world. Russia's at war. The U.S. is always at war. All of these people are always warmongers. They're all going to come at our Messiah, and they're all going to get smoted. They're all going to get owned. And so the best thing that we can possibly do is align our lives right now so that we are able to make this bus at the end. We're able to make this time. So this is their judgment, right? This is where they have gone. 6. And previously you have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. and your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet even on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus. See, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me. And the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and carried me into the Shamaim. And I went in till I drew near to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire. And it began to terrorize me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew near to a large house which was built of crystals. And the walls of the house were like a mosaic floor of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and the Shamaim was as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling took hold of me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I saw a vision. And see, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect, it was so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings in the path of the stars, and its ceilings also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne, its appearance as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was a vision of the cherubim. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look upon it. And the great esteem sat upon it. And his garments shone more brightly than the sun, and were whiter than any snow. None of the messengers could enter and look upon his face because of the magnificence and esteem, and no flesh could look upon him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw near him. 10,000 times 10,000 before him. Yet he needed no counselor. And the most Kodeshim, who were near to him, did not leave by night nor depart from him. Until then I had been prostrate, on my face, trembling, and Yahuwah called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come here, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the Kodeshim came to me and woke me, and he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downwards. So this is the madness of the book of Enoch, right? We bounce around, and we're going between the judgment. We're going between the judgment of the watchers. We're going into, essentially the throne room, what it sounds like, the throne room of our Elohim Most High. And it is something that will bring terror. It is something that is unbelievable when you see it. And when you look at creation, when you look at the creatures and the nature and the trees and bugs and all of the stuff that is out there, this is where our Creator lives. This is where he is ruling from. And we've been hoaxed in every level that we're living on a spinning ball, flying through endless, galaxies and solar systems, and thousands of miles around an hour, when none of this makes any sense, right? Scriptures very much clearly tells us that we live on a foundation. And that's what we're going to be getting into here in the book of Enoch, is that we're going to be getting into a lot of the truth. Now, this is one of the reasons that this book was ripped out from Scriptures. They put 66 in there, but Enoch would have been a great addition, because then everybody would know about the giants. They would know about the watchers. And all we have is we have Genesis 6 that tells us a little bit about it, but we don't have the rest of the story. And this is what we're getting in with the book of Enoch. And so, guys, thank you very much to everybody that made it to the end of this. Thank you very much. Much love to all of you guys. For those who want to hang out with us on a Shabbat, we will be at 11 o'clock Central Time on the main Yahuwah and the Torah YouTube channel. And we would love to see you guys there. So until then, much love. Shalom to you all. Have a great day and a great weekend.